Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, is lewd music a major influencer of school violence? And in the second watch, understanding and dealing with bullying in schools. For our social media question, we ask, how would you handle your child being bullied at school? Again, how would you handle your child being bullied at school? We're asking you to share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I quote.
Today's I quote says, "There are always hurdles in life, but if you want to achieve a goal, you must continue." Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Jokal.
Good morning.
How are you, my brother?
I'm great.
Yes, you're facing some hurdles every now and again.
Well, of course. But we personally, we just try to jump over them, and if we walk into, we just call it a day.
Yes. Never ever give up, no matter what.
Never ever in life.
Yeah, man, certainly. The first watch will be back after this break.
Fisher folk, this one's for you. Surgical Agricare Plan. With Agricare Plan, you can get affordable insurance coverage for you and your family. Life insurance, health insurance, and a critical illness coverage for as little as $675 every 3 months. Visit your nearest RADA or Fisher's office or call 876-936-7785 to apply. Farmers and Fisher folks, get the insurance coverage your family deserves today with Surgical Agricare Plan. Conditions apply.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Need auto insurance? Advantage General puts you in the driver's seat. Apply online, purchase online, renew online, submit a claim online. Coverage in no time. Request a quote, purchase insurance, submit claims, even pay renewals with Advantage General online. From zero coverage to insured in 10 minutes. Advantage General, a member of Surgical Group Jamaica. Conditions apply.
Think ahead, make a plan. You got the freedom of choice.
Lark, long-acting reversible contraceptives.
I made my choice 6 years ago. I have an IUCD, also called copper T, and it will go and protect me from pregnancy for another 4 years at least.
My choice was an implant. It lasts for 5 years. And when I'm ready for a baby, I just make doctor take it out. Contact the National Family Planning Board at 968-1632 to find out more about the Lark.
Think ahead, make a plan. You got the freedom of choice.
You're invited to listen to Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. We'll give you tips on how to make your money count, how to save, and how to grow your wealth. It's all inside Dollars and Cents, brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. That's Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
When tape diapers are difficult to change,
It's time for Pampers Easy Ups with 360 stretchy waistband. They're easy to put on and take off,
keeping their skin dry and protected.
changes are easy with Easy Ups.
Need auto insurance? Advantage General puts you in the driver's seat. Apply online, purchase online, renew online, submit a claim online. Coverage in no time. Request a quote, purchase insurance, submit claims, even pay renewals with Advantage General online. From zero coverage to insured in 10 minutes. Advantage General, a member of Sagicor Group Jamaica. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, in a recent presentation in Parliament, Education Minister Favour Williams opined that lewd music could be contributing to an increase in school violence. Now, this debate has again presented itself in the public space. Is lewd music really the issue? Is it time we do something about the music or our children having access to it? Could this be more detrimental than we realize? Well, there's much to discuss this morning with Senator Damian Crawford, shadow spokesperson on education, and Mrs. Esther Tyson, education consultant and former principal of Arden High School. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Great, good to have you with us. Now,
how are you doing? Good morning.
Mrs. Tyson, I think the senator is saying hi to you, asking how you're doing.
Oh, good morning, Senator. I never heard you. Good morning to you too.
Yeah, right. Now, how would both of you define lewd music? And for the record, what are your views in regards to the aforementioned comments from the Minister of Education? Beginning with you, Senator Crawford.
Well, first of all, I'd like to correct a statement you made because I think that you have coupled two things that are not automatically coupled. Is there something that needs to be done about the music? The answer can be yes, even if it isn't leading to violence. Because there is certain social norms and morals and values that you would want to inculcate within your society. And there are actions and steps to be taken through laws and otherwise if you don't want certain norms to be promoted. So therefore, even if music isn't contributing to violence, you may want to make a statement as it relates to what are the norms that you want your society to participate in, and how that society should be shaped. On the contrary, however, I do not see any evidence in the literature that the consumption of violence through media, and again, I believe it's unfortunate that we separate music from media because there's violent movies, there's violent cartoons, violent games, but there's no evidence in the research that I've seen that violent media has led to violence or is the major concern, the major push factor, the major contributor to the situation that we currently face and the maladies that we're facing. So I would not want our conversation to be if the music is acceptable or if the music creates violent activity. I think they're two very separate questions.
Yeah, and speaking about question, what is your understanding of lewd music? How do you define lewd music, Senator?
Again, based on the moral standings of the society, lewd music would be those that act in contrary to the morals of the society. There was a time that lewd music would be any form of sexual conversation, and then there was a time it evolved to be lewd to be if it was abnormal in our opinion, sexual intervention, and then it eventually it evolves as society evolves and the morals and the norms. Some people listening to these things about Obia, I would find that is against the morals of the society. Other people might not find it's against the morals of the society. But there are themes within any lewd music. To me is any music with a theme that goes contrary to the general morality promoted by the society.
And just for the record, you agree, disagree with the Minister of Education in her reported statement?
That it is leading to violence, or that it is of sufficient importance to be mentioned. There's evidence that there are greater push factors such as our family structure, 47% single parent experience. The world average is 17, such as scarcity, such as the increased propensity to gambling, especially within schools, such as the availability to alcohol and drugs, and the variation of drugs. Once upon a time, ganja was our greatest concern, such as the access to delinquency, especially through the internet. So the research has shown higher push factors for violence among children, against children, than
lewd music. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, hearing it loud and clear. Mrs. Tyson, your take on that?
Whereas I do agree with some points that the senator has made, that the lewd music is not the only factor. I believe it certainly is a very important and dominant factor in the increase in the violence and overtly sexual behavior of our children that we are seeing right across Jamaica. And as a principal who has worked not only at Arden but at Tara, I understand the impact of music. I mean, we know that music influences how we behave. I mean, the research shows that, so we're not going to argue about that. So if we're dealing with not just music, but the type of music, our young people gravitate towards the music, like people like Cartel, Movado, all of this. I mean, remember when we had that warfare between Gaza and whatever, and the influence that it had on our children. How did that happen? Because of the musicians and the message that they carried. So I remember being at Arden, and I made no qualms about shutting down anybody that was coming to school with the bags that have all of these images on it, because it influenced them. Okay? And I am seeing this, where I have been following what has been happening in our country, and our young people. One of the greatest influences on our young people is the music that they listen to, because it's not just music, it is who is carrying the music and the image that that person has, and their influences on our young people in terms of their thoughts and behavior. So I think, and there is evidence in the research that talks about that. So we have, for instance, the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, an article that says violent song lyrics may lead to violent behavior. Researchers from Iowa State and Texas Department of Human Services found that aggressive music lyrics increase aggressive thoughts and feelings, which might perpetuate aggressive behavior and have long-term effects such as influencing listeners' perception of society and contributing to the development of aggressive personalities. We have, remember, Marcia Forbes, some years ago, did her doctorate on the whole issue of the impact of music on the psyche of children, how it affects behavior and perception. And she agrees that the power of the parent and the home is really very, very powerful. But on the other hand, we know the reality of what's happening in our society in terms of our dysfunctional families and the communities in which our children live. And so part of the influence that takes up that place.
I'm so sorry, Mrs. Tyson, I'm so sorry. We are up on a break. Please hold that thought. We'll be right back.
Okay, we'll do.
Aculab Diagnostics Limited, located at ATL Plaza in Montego Bay, for all your blood testing needs. Open every day, including Sundays, 6132714.
The time by Aculab Diagnostics Limited is
7:15 a.m.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And in this, the first watch, we are asking the question, is lewd music a major influencer of school violence? In so doing, we have online Mrs. Esther Tyson, education consultant, former principal of Arden High School, and also Senator Damian Crawford, shadow spokesperson on education. I think before the break, Mrs. Tyson, I had interrupted your flow of thought in regards to your response to your thoughts on what the Minister of Education had said.
Right. So I was referring to the study that Dr. Marcia Forbes did some years ago on the impact of music on the psyche of our youth.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was saying, that she made points about the impact of, family, home, parents. But I'm saying that the issue is that we live in a society, and Senator himself referred to the impact of home and family on the children. But we don't have that. We have a negative, a dysfunctional family system in so many areas in this country. And what takes the space and the gap of what of the family influencing our children are these influencers who are, many of them, the purveyors of violent music. And Marcia Forbes says our children grow up to love guns, not only the boys, but increasingly nowadays the girls as well, because our music glorify and glamorize the gun. And the gun is portrayed in the lyrics and the images as powerful and sexy. And that not only the music, but that these DJs are models for our children, for young people, right? The days when Carter was bleaching, everybody was buying blue soap to bleach them face. And if Carter wear this, everybody are wearing. So music is a very powerful force, and we have to acknowledge that for good or ill. Look at Bob Marley. And in the years when Bob Marley and the lyrics that Bob Marley had, look at One Love. That's the most powerful song. It was declared of the 20th century.
We also sang I Feel Like Bombing a Church.
Exactly, on the other hand, right? So what I'm saying is we have to acknowledge, and especially in Jamaica, where music is so integral to our culture, that our children are impacted and influenced by this music, and they are becoming worse. Seriously, I went and read some words, and my God, seriously, if our children are hearing about taking a gun and doing this and whatever, we've seen it being played out in their midst.
Yeah,
It is very distressing to me.
So you're agreeing with the minister in that regard?
That it has a serious influence, not the only influence,
right.
Okay, is a serious influence on our young people.
Right, to use your words, important and dominant factor.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, Senator Crawford, what Mrs. Tyson said, doesn't it sound reasonable?
It is reason for conversation, because this is not a new debate. Indeed, Pluto and Aristotle in BC, 800 BC, was having a discussion on the same topic that we are having today as it relates to what is the chicken and what is the egg. Is it a violent culture that leads to violent expressions of culture, meaning entertainment, or is it violent entertainment that creates violent norms, right? But there are multiple research documents that speak to...
You can mention any, Senator Crawford?
Yes, I will mention a few.
Mrs. Tyson mentioned two. At least two.
Seymour Festmatch, 1971, found that violent entertainment was more likely to diffuse and stimulate than stimulate aggression. He argues that violence under the guise of dramatic fantasy has found throughout history and it seems likely that the vicarious participation in these fantasies satisfy a human need. The U.S. government 1972 findings suggest little evidence existed that the consumption of violence had an adverse effect on the majority of children. Malinsky 1982, 3,200 persons were in a longitudinal study, found no evidence of behavioral effect from consuming media violence. Weidman, 1992, a study of 14 groups from 6 countries found that the opinion formulated on the basis of social learning theory that media violence consumption leads to aggressive behavior cannot be supported. 2004, Dr. Cheryl Olson, she did 1,254 7th and 8th graders plus 500 parents, found that there was no causal relationship between violent media consumption and violent behavior. 2004, Dr. Sermon, he said, even the assumption that the consumption of violent media leads to criminal action is, in his opinion, an absurdity. Fisher, 2012, no causal link between violent consumption, violent media, and the actual gun violence. 2009, a meta-analysis of 12,436 people by John Kluburn. He said that if the goal of society is to reduce violence, scientific, political, and economic efforts would likely bear more fruit in other
All right, stick a pin right there, Senator. Any local references that
the only knowledge I have of a local research, a recent history, is the one recommended by principal, and of course, principal's own experience would dwarf any. That's the
one by Mrs. Forbes, Marcia Forbes.
Yes, by Mrs. Forbes.
It's not supporting your view, though.
It does not support my view, but it speaks to what many researchers have identified as a flawed assumption in its methodology.
What?
It associates.
So hold on there. The ones some are okay, pristine. They are good.
No.
The local one flawed. Why is it flawed?
No.
Oh,
I said, and I'm explaining that it spoke to what many researchers have identified as a flawed assumption in its methodology, which is using aggression as a proxy of violent participation. And most persons are saying that aggression is 2 or 3 steps removed from violence. In fact, there are many sporting activities that encourage aggression and doesn't lead to violence. So I'm not belittling the research. I'm saying the basis of the findings, I believe, is based on that.
Interested, Mrs. Tyson. You want to reference that same document?
Yes, I need to interject because I do not recall, Senator, reading that the basis on which this study was done was the whole issue of aggression. Dr. Forbes did a serious study, dealing with...
Do you remember what it was entitled? I'm sorry, Mrs. Tyson. Do you remember what it was entitled?
Yes, it is the impact of music on the psyche of children, how it affects behavior and perception. She has a book that has been published with the findings. We can go and find the actual, research that was done in the book. And I remember speaking to her at Arden when she came to do a presentation on her findings, and I'm a little concerned that it is now being said to be not,
flawed
because it is based on this thing about
no. Please,
is that what you were saying?
But then Mrs. Tyson,
in any research and conversation on research, methodologies have always been analyzed. What this methodology was that? So I'm not saying that is a flawed research. I'm saying that if aggression is used as the proxy of what is violence, which many researchers have used aggression as the proxy, because they can't really give a student music and then see if he's violent. That might not be in the rules of human intervention and human research. So it has been used on many occasions. Many have found that even the consumption of soda, sugary drinks, have led to aggression, the perceptions of aggression, and by extension, not a reasonable proxy for violence. But I'm not saying that the research is without merit and it's flawed. No, I'm not saying that.
May I interject, please? The right title for the book is Music, Media, and Adolescent Sexuality in Jamaica. So that is the title.
But either we are not hearing the words violence mentioned in the title or the research
but
topic.
it addresses it. So
Yes,
it
it
is
address violence.
right.
Right.
But I'd love
Not
to
just
say
aggression.
No, but it used aggression as a proxy for violence, which is a natural research thing. You use proxies for different things, a representation of that or that or that. So persons may use entertainment consumption as a representation of wealth, for example.
Yeah.
And others have proven that in Jamaica, the poorest people are participating higher in entertainment, so that might not be a good proxy for wealth based on our cultural norms. But I'd like to say another thing to what the principal also highlighted, which I believe might be a great basis of concern. The whole Gaza Gully reality also was influenced by what we call the high level of unattachment. So many of our children found it easy to attach themselves to entities that they had no real experience from, just based on who is their favorite artist, Gaza and Gully. Because the evidence is that there's very little attachment. There's little attachment to school, to clubs, etc. And by extension, to family. And so,
which was mentioned earlier.
The Minister of Security has indicated that unattached youth is the major recruitment pool for gang. And so, therefore, that level of unattachment is a more underlining circumstance to be correct, because they quickly attach themselves to, in my days, Bounty and Beanie, and then to Gaza and Gully, and now to whoever that exists. So the level of unattachment, limited clubs and societies, limited
some myriad of factors, right? I think we all agree with that. But then the question we have been asking, is it a major influencer? And I'm asking,
I believe it is.
Right, and Senator, you are saying it's not, just for clarification, it's not a major influencer.
I don't believe it is a major causal reality, right? Yes.
But you do believe it is, but it's not a major one, it's a minor one.
I have no evidence that it is, but I will always be as I said, accurate to evidence from experience. And principal is saying she has seen in her 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, that the consumption of this media has led to violent behavior. A good research for us to embark on as a society is to do a study over time of media violence,
and that's where I'm going.
Music violence.
That's where I'm going.
And criminal activity.
Yeah, another studies too. Not a major study.
Are we having more violent music now than Ninja Man and in his time? That is something that we are only making just grand assumptions. But
Senator, we have many more people doing more of that type of music, Senator. It's not that it has lessened. I mean, look, I'm so embarrassed, to tell you, when
videos.
I hear about the Barbados and other Caribbean countries who are banning our musicians to come into their country because they don't want their young people to get those type of influences. I mean, hello, we are the person from where Bob Marley came, and yet we are in this place where our musicians are being banned from our own Caribbean nation, something that tells a very powerful message, I believe.
All right, a fitting note on which to end. And of course, the debate continues in another sphere. It would be about causation vis-a-vis correlation, but that's for another discussion. We want to thank you both for joining us, Mrs. Esther Toussaint and Senator Damian Crawford. Have a safe and productive day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, Senator.
Bye, Principal. Take care.
All right, listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
The time by Jam Bank is
7:30.
Refreshing your space should be a breeze. And at Active Home Center, we have made it easy by having what you need all in one place. Shop the largest selection of tiles, bathroom fixtures, lighting, doors, and more. Visit us at 84 Council Spring Road in Kingston or check out our newly opened location in Freeport, Montego Bay. Come speak with our in-house experts and hit refresh on your space. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
Juicy patty them I me prefer, not tell no lie. When me eat it, me feel like me want fly. From me a little youth, I eat me a bite. Juicy patty, yes, nothing else me a try. Love me beef and me love veggie patty. And the one with them call plant-based. Shrimp patty, chicken patty, make your pie. I say one more them nice juicy patty for me, please. Juicy patty that we love. Juicy patty that I already give them love. Juicy patty that we love. Juicy patty said any location I can ride.
Every Thursday morning, Love 101 shares with you power-packed messages, words of encouragement, and testimonies of God's miraculous power. You get all of that in the Don't Give Up broadcast, brought to you by Celebration Church at the Portmore Skating Rink in the Portmore Mall with Pastor Prophet Michael Carter. Be sure to stay tuned to Love 101 for the Don't Give Up broadcast. Get the word you need to start your day right. The Don't Give Up broadcast, Thursdays at 5:15 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
It's gonna be alright. Think ahead, make a plan. You got the freedom of choice.
Lark, long-acting reversible contraceptives. I made my choice 6 years ago. I have an IUCD, also called copper T, and it will go and protect me from pregnancy for another 4 years at least.
My choice was an implant. It lasts for 5 years. And when I'm ready for a baby, I just make doctor take it out. Contact the National Family Planning Board at 968-1632 to find out more about the Lark.
Think ahead, make a plan. You got the freedom of choice.
Remember, every dream where you have, remember everything where you plan. With J&M Bank, anything possible. With a little savings in your hand. Sales for your plan. Big the house, buy the land, work clothes and dreams like a plan. Sales for your plan.
Living your best life and making memories is priceless. But saving little by little is what makes it affordable. Stop wishing you could. With your J&M Bank savings, you absolutely can. J&M Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and, of course, doing in the Gleaner Constitution Red Line. We also see in the Gleaner that Jamalco profits from metal spike. We go across to the Observer. Not true. Civil society member of CRC counters opposition claims. And also in the Observer, we'll be ready. JCA president assures Sabina Park prepared for T20 against South Africa. And then finally, on the sad note, Vals bemoans death of Titchfield High students in fatal crash. And of course, we extend our condolences to the family and relatives of those students and our prayers for those who are hospitalized. Wow. Well, coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. How would you handle your child being bullied at school? I repeat, how would you handle your child being bullied at school? We're asking you to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. Soon come back.
Everyone has a big to-do list nowadays. With this busy schedule, it's easy to forget about yourself. Don't neglect your blood work. Just go for a quick and easy testing with Aculab Diagnostics Limited. Swift, simple testing, tailored to your timetable. They're open every day, including Sundays, keeping pace with your calendar. Dial 613-2714 for more details. That's 613-2714. Quick results, late hours. Because you matter.
I am just a little girl, but I have big dreams. And one day, all my dreams are going to come true. That's why I'm glad Mommy opened a Sajikwa Bank Star Savers account for me. It's the best gift she could ever give me because one day I won't be little anymore. And my small savings are going to grow big. I even got my own debit card. Give your child a gift that will grow. Open a Sajikwa Bank Star Savers account today.
Treat mom like the queen she is with Mama Mania deals all day long at Appliance Traders Limited. Shop up to 50% off. TVs, fridges, air fryers, and more, plus free gifts with select purchases. Visit us in Kingston, Ochimo Bay, or at atljamaica.com. Conditions apply.
For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, what we say? Raise mackerel the winner. For the richest sauce, always the saucy. Raise mackerel the winner. And if you talk about taste, don't know say we win the race. Cause the king star, get me kind of food we love. And what we say? Raise mackerel the winner. Real fire for sure. The one and only Grace Mackerel. Always give me more. Good taste and music. Grace with me the food you love.
Mindset Conference 2024, the Gospel Edition, Monday to Wednesday, May 20 to 22, at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel with Pastor John Gray, Pastor Travis Green, Dr. Jackie Green, Todd Garber, Phil Thomas, Minister Marion Hall, Kevin Dowswell, Sharon Gardner, Rhoda Isabella, Pastor Junior Tucker, Bishop Everton Thomas, and many more. Hosted by Nadine Blair, IT Ellis, Ella Du Bois, Zephaniah Dixon, Angelic One, Angela. Join us for dinner, workshop, panel discussion, praise and worship, undiluted word, and concert every night. Mindset Conference, equipping, encouraging, and empowering the creatives in the kingdom of Christ. For more info, mindsetconference.org. Get your tickets now. Powered by the Holy Spirit and the Empire Management. God is the answer.
When teeth diapers are difficult to change, it's time for Pampers Easy Ups with 360 stretchy waistband. They're easy to put on and take off, keeping their skin dry and protected.
Changes are easy with Easy Ups.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Jokal for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. How would you handle your child being bullied at school? Jokal?
All right, so we have some responses here. This person said they're not seeing a name for them, but they said kill the fun in bullying by ignoring them and behaving like an a nothing. Cherry from Spanish Town says, first, I would visit the school and have a meeting with the principal, guidance counselor, and all those involved. A stern warning or punishment, nip it in the bud. Cherry, Edna from Montego Bay sent a voice note. Let's hear from her.
Good morning, Morning Watch. Good morning, Love 101 listeners and staff. How would I handle my child being bullied at school? I would contact the school and try to set up a meeting so that I can meet with the child that is bullying my child. I would meet with that child. My child would have to be in the meeting also, and the parents of the child that is the bully would have to set up a meeting so we can meet and find out what is really going on. That's what I would have done. Okay?
And those are our responses. Thanks, Edna.
Okay, thank you all for those interesting responses. And so, listeners, we segue into the second watch. And recently, students at a primary school in Western Jamaica were reportedly encouraged by a police officer to take a stand against bullying. And rightly so, because this activity is often overlooked, yet it has led to serious violence and even self-harm among victims. And when these victims are the most vulnerable and impressionable group in our society, taking the time to understand and address it would serve us greatly. And in so doing, we have online for this, the second watch, Mr. Leighton Campbell, President-elect of the Jamaica Association of Guidance Counselors in Education, and Mr. Micton Ebanks, Senior Teacher in charge of the Students' Council and Prefects at the Black River High School. He's also the board chairman of the Pondside Primary School. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint.
Great.
Good morning, Playback.
Great.
Good morning, sir. Morning.
Good to have you both. Now, I'll begin with you, Mr. Campbell. And by the way, congrats upon your ascendancy. What really is bullying, and what is the profile of a bully?
Okay. So when we make reference to bullying, it is a pattern of behavior. So I want to establish it at the very get-go that it is not just a one-off or isolated incident. It is a repetitive behavior. And there are a few things that we use to identify in most cases if this really is bullying. So we think of the intent, we think of the repetition, and we also bring into focus power. So a person who bullies, intends to bring pain or harm to an individual or other individuals. It could be physical pain or it could be psychological pain. So it's both physical, psychological pain that is the intent of the bullies. And then, as mentioned earlier, the action or the behavior is repeated. So it continues. It starts today, continues tomorrow, next week, and it continues over a period of time. So that one person is being picked on ongoing. So basically, when we think of bullying, we take that into context. Now, bullying includes threats, verbal, includes threats, it includes insults, exclusion from certain groups, spreading rumors, lies, taking away people's money, just intimidating people, generally speaking. As it relates to the profile of those who may be considered as bullies, these are those who sometimes believe they are of a higher social class. Maybe that's not the truth, but they feel that way about themselves. In some cases, some individuals who are bullies suffer from low self-esteem. They have no empathy, or they display no empathy towards individual also. And some bullies themselves are victims of bullying themselves, or they have been exposed to some amount of aggression in home or community. And so this is now being on display at school. Some of these persons are also those who are not so focused, so they are at school or within community, but they lost a sense of direction. And so engaging in bullying is another behavior that they take on.
Interesting. Mr. Ebanks,
yes, sir.
Anecdotally, how common is bullying in our schools today? And let me add that you are associated with both a primary and high school. And what have been your observations in that regard?
I mean, we're seeing a lot of it, I must say, in schools. I think that is something that, and I must commend you for this program, because I think it's something that we need to talk about. I think that is something that I don't think it's being talked about that much, and honestly it's causing a lot of problems in school. So it is a lot. I am seeing it a lot. I have gotten incidents from high school here that I'm at. I've also primary school, I've gotten reports of students being bullied where we have, for example, the grade 6 students speaking on the grade 1 students. Here in high school, you have the 11th graders speaking on the 7th graders. And we also have 11th graders speaking on 11th graders. So it is something that it exists, it's there a lot. So we have to do something. And I again must commend you for this program for doing so.
Okay, all right. We're going to continue to talk about it. We're up on a break, gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Follow the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development on Instagram and X at LocalGovJA. The time by the ministry is 7:45.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in this, the second watch, we are discussing bullying in schools. And in so doing, we have online Mr. Micton Ebanks, senior teacher at the Black River High School, and also Mr. Leighton Campbell, president-elect of the Jamaica Association of Guidance Counselors in Education. Now, Mr. Campbell, major effects of bullying. Can you share with us some of those?
Okay, so there are quite a number of effects that bullying may result in. But I would say major quickly, individuals who are being bullied may start immediately to withdraw. So they display signs of social anxiety. They don't want to be around certain persons or people, especially at schools. They sometimes want to miss schools, or they start to drop out in schools, or their grades start to go down, so they are falling grades. Some persons develop anxiety and panic. So imagine a male student. This is a male student who wants to use the bathroom, but this is the area that he would have experienced bullying for quite a number of days. To go to the bathroom tomorrow, he just starts to develop this whole anxiety, not wanting to go there.
Yes.
It can also become worse in that they develop signs of depression or symptoms of depression, and some may get involved in harming themselves. And some of these victims also become aggressors. So, they are being bullied.
They become bullies themselves?
They become bullied themselves. Yes. So it is wide range, and sometimes they feel all alone in this. They become suicidal, and the list goes on and on.
Yes. And still with you, Mr. Campbell, I had asked you earlier about the profile. Are there any other demographical considerations that we need to bear in mind in terms of gender and age?
So yes, age, definitely. So as was mentioned by Mr. Iban, the bullies sometimes tend to pick on younger ones because then they feel they have a greater sense of power and authority over them. And so the younger ones may not be, in their perception, no match to them. And as it relates to gender, females tend to suffer more from bullying psychologically, males more so to a greater extent physically. So that has something to do with it.
It seems as though we have a number of cases where females are involved in this increasingly. Why is that so, Mr. Campbell?
There are several factors that one could consider. Going back to the whole matter of social differences, or maybe my appearance. So to you, I may not appear particularly, or I may be deemed as fat, and so I become an individual that you feel you're going to insult constantly. Or again, it may be one's social economic background. It could be that I am perceived as weak. It could be that some of these females themselves are being bullied at home. It could be that some of these females, and males too, now view violence or bullying as normal, or a way of life that they want to engage in. So they put a positive spin on it. It gives them a sense of, pride and authority doing this because, yes, I am the person now. And popularity has a part to do with it, because some persons believe that in gaining popularity, you have to display a certain kind of behavior. And if you are looked upon, then it gives you that good feeling, and you're going to want to do it over and over again.
Yes. Mr. Banks, earlier you had mentioned about the sixth graders, sixth formers picking on the lower grades or forms. What about initiations at schools? I mean, isn't that par for the course? Isn't that expected and understood that these students just enter in and they're supposed to go through this week or days of initiation?
Well, I just say yes, that's true. But then we have to be careful that they don't take it too far. Because, for example, let us say they're teaching them about the culture of the school, then that's okay. But then when we have students, for example, barring students from going to the tuck shop because, you have to pay a pass to go to the tuck shop. I have mentioned before, students wanting to go to the bathroom, and you have to pay a pass. There we go. So there we have them at that level. I can tell you, I have seen it where in the primary school I was shocked to know that it was happening that much in primary schools to where grade 6 students are taking lunch money from grade 1 students. I mean, I had a case recently where a grade 6 student took $1,000 from a grade 1 student. I was just spending it like that.
Wow.
And then when we investigated the case, you know what the student said? The grade 6, she gave it to me. She gave it just like that. And because out of fear, and also because she was being bullied, that is what happened. So,
yes.
It is just, and as you mentioned, there is no limit to it now. We have females doing it, males doing it.
Yes.
So,
yes.
That is what
yes. And generally speaking, Mr. Ebanks, how is bullying dealt with in the schools?
At the high school level, it is reached the point where it becomes, in a sense, it's borderline stepping into the law. We have to get police involved at some point.
Right, tell us about that before you move on. What's the borderline that you
for example, you see extortion, we have to look at out from early.
So that's a crime.
Right, there we go. So once we see where, for example, you have a group of boys extorting the grade 7, grade 8, or grade 9, we get the police involved at that point. We have to, because we have to put a stop to this, because we don't want these behaviors to carry on with them when they go into the wider society. So we have to keep it in the bud, as they would say. So at some point we do have to get police involved. So let's talk what we also do. For example, when we start in September, we spend a lot of time in the devotion time speaking about bullying and try our best to see how best we can deal with it. We have meetings with, for example, with parents if we suspect or if we have had any reports of students being a bully. We try our best to meet with that parent and to see how best we can talk to them so they can also talk to their child to see how they can deal with the issue.
Yes. And how effective has that been over the years, would you say, Mr. Ebanks?
To be honest, I have seen here at Black River High School, we have not gotten any reports for a good while now, the bullying again, because as I said, September month, we start at times stamping it out. So I have seen that this has helped greatly. And also getting trained to about we try to have a lot of PTA meetings. We have year group meetings. So for example, I bring in the 11th grade parents. We talk to them. At one point, we bring in the 10th grade. We talk to them. So these are some of the methods that we use to see how best we can eliminate bullying out of school.
Yes.
I know that might be a hard task, but we try our best to see how best we can do it.
Yes. Mr. Campbell, suggestions, and I also throw it to Mr. Ebanks after. Suggestions, recommendations to the victims of bullying?
Okay, before I go there, could I just respond to the question you asked Mr. Ebanks just now about what can be done? Okay, so I do believe that, and as Mr. Ebanks alluded to, there are some preventive matters or approach must be taken, and those are done. I know schools do that. I know that the guidance counselors in schools engage in psychosocial sessions, teaching students in their contact time or even in personal sessions with some skills that they need to know. They need to know about bullying itself and things like negotiation and problem-solving skills, being assertive. So I think those things are being done in school. I know those things are being done and continue to encourage people to do that. Also, in some schools, there are mentorship programs which help both the bully and those who are being bullied. Right? So I also believe in that to get some of these bullies into some leadership position, that are guided and supervised by members of staff. Get them
Channel their
involved.
energies.
groups, the right to channel energy, other things, in other places. We know that counseling does take place, whether it's individual and group counseling. But I also want to make mention, Dr. Toussaint, it's not just with school, but also at home, because home must play a part in this. And I would suggest that, a part of going to what the suggestion now, that parents take time to listen to their children. It's very important that parents listen to their children, reassure them, sit with them sometime, ask them about their experience at school today. Right. How was it? And if there's any sign or any
observant
indication that parents should make contact with school, report the matter, ask questions, visit this school. So some of these things I would want to recommend off the top of my head, right?
What about the school of thought, Mr. Banks? I perhaps grew up in an era where the thought was when you are bullied, you fight back so that you are not regarded as weak or powerless. What's your take on that?
I mean, we have to be careful to fight back because at the end of the day, we don't want to fight in school, sir. So, but what, as mentioned before, what we have done, personally what I've done, because being in charge of field leadership, I've tried my best with some mentorship program where I pair, for example, the 7th graders with some 6th formers or some 11th graders. And what we created a mentorship program where they can talk to them and communicate with them. So by doing this, by having this open communication channel, we're able to identify the bullies quickly, because it's when we go to their friend and say, know that X is bullying me, and then when that information reaches to me, then we try our best to deal with it.
So they must have fight back. They must have fight back.
No, we don't encourage the fight back. No, sir. We try our best not to in school.
No eye for an eye business.
No, we try our best not to do that.
Turn the other cheek and get punched. Get punched on that other one too.
No, what we try to do is stop really hitting the cheek.
All right,
and on that same note, instead of encouraging the fight back at home, we want to instill in our children to be positive role models, and to be, individuals that I look up to for the right things. Teach them how rewarding it can be just to be a good citizen of this country and be a good student, and also to point out to them the negative impact that bullying will have on them as an individual and also on the victim. Because, for example, if a child engages in bullying constantly, that child, as Mr. Banks alluded to, may be reported to the police. Now, there may be a criminal record that follows this child for some time. And when that child wants to move to certain places, or if they are to be transferred, let's say a child is good at football, and the parent wants to transfer them to another institution that does well in that, or in track and field. But then by the time school they want to be transferred, so look at their report and look on their, but this child is a problem child.
Yeah, long-term impact. Yes,
exactly so.
Mr. Campbell, I don't know your role, but we have to close. I don't want to bully you off the program, all right? So, I want to thank you both for joining us, gentlemen. Yes, and all the best as you continue to impact our nation. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Dane Brown, and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint, and you're back to Love in the Morning with Chakal Dyer.
Thank you for listening to the Morning Watch today. Coming up next is Forward in Faith, brought to you by the New Testament Church of God in Bayside, Portmore.